Today, we are talking about all things cravings, emotional eating, food relationships, and diet culture. Excited to dive in. But I just want to ask you real quick before we get started, like how many times have you personally given into a craving only to feel guilty afterwards? Or have you found yourself reaching for food in the middle of a stressful situation, not because you were hungry, but because you were trying to numb or distract yourself from something, right? It's a cycle that many of us are stuck in. Okay, so you're definitely not alone in that. Um, but I want you to know that the thing is, it's not you being weak. It's not you being undisciplined. There's something deeper going on, and we're going to explain. I'm here to help you understand that a little bit better today. So, again, today we're going to dive deep into why cravings on emotional eating happen in the first place, how your relationship with food is shaped by the things like past experiences, societal pressure, and most importantly, how we can break free from these patterns without feeling super overwhelmed by them. If you know me, you know I am all about real solutions, not the quick fixes, right? So I'm Coach Chelsea Ray. If we haven't met yet, I worked with hundreds of women who have struggled with the exact same issues that you may be facing right now. Over the years, I've realized that the key to sustainable weight loss and energy and confidence, it doesn't lie in a new diet trend or a strict set of rules. It's about understanding your body, your mindset, and how to build a healthy, sustainable relationship with food and your body. And so today I want to give you the tools to start shifting your mindset, and managing your cravings and creating that long-term change. Okay. So just a little bit about me. I'm a personal trainer, a certified personal trainer, a certified weight loss specialist, and I help women over 40 who are going into the changes of perimenopause and menopause. And I help them navigate the challenges of weight loss, hormonal changes, food relationships. And I understand what it feels like to when you're doing everything right, but you're not seeing the results that you want. I've been there, and so have my clients. So what I do is different from what you might be used to. Okay. I don't focus on restrictive diets or crazy workout plans that leave you feeling exhausted. Instead, we focus on building a foundation of self-compassion, understanding your emotional triggers, and making small, sustainable changes to your habits that are going to help you feel energized and healthy and confident in the long run. And so my approach is very rooted in education, which is part of why I come on and do these trainings with you. And because the more you understand your body and your mind, the easier it becomes to make those right choices. And, I teach my clients how to trust themselves around food, manage emotional eating without the guilt, and to break free from diet culture's unrealistic expectations. Okay. This is about reclaiming control over your mindset, your body, and your life. So let's start with cravings. So cravings aren't just about wanting a certain food. Okay. They're a physical and emotional signs that your body is sending you. So biologically, cravings are your body's way of trying to balance out hormones or your energy levels or even stress, and your body's trying to communicate something to you. So there's three main triggers when it comes to cravings. So number one, biological triggers. So this is when your blood sugar drops, or you may crave something sweet or starchy. If you're not getting enough protein, your body might crave some high carb foods to compensate for that. And then there's hormones like cortisol that are released during stressful situations. They're released during exercise. This can also make you crave those comfort foods. And so your body's trying to stabilize, and sometimes it turns to food for that quick fix in order to achieve that. Number two are emotional triggers. So these emotional cravings are different. Okay. These are when food is used to cope with the emotions. So whether you're feeling stressed or lonely or happy or even bored, emotional eating is not a bad thing, but it is a coping mechanism. But the problem arises when we use food to manage those emotions instead of addressing those emotions directly. Okay. And then the third thing are environmental triggers. Okay. Have you ever walked by a bakery and seen, or maybe seen an ad for a burger and suddenly felt that urge to eat, right? That's an environmental trigger. So foods that are linked to happy memories or social situations can also trigger these cravings. And these can be really strong, like so strong that they override any signals that you might have of hunger or of fullness. And so I want you to take a moment and think about the last time that you had a really intense craving. What was going on in your body at that time? Were you even hungry? Were you stressed? Were you anxious? I want you to write it down and reflect on whether that craving was actually tied to an emotional need or a physical need. So here's what you can do about it. Well, the first step to managing your cravings is the awareness piece, right? Just like anything. So when you understand why you are craving something, you can make more conscious choices. Are you truly hungry, or is there an emotion behind it? When you're aware of those triggers, you could really start to practice different coping mechanisms like mindfulness or breathing exercise to kind of manage those emotional cravings. So next, let's dive into emotional eating. So what is emotional eating? Well, this happens when we eat to cope with our feelings rather than to satisfy physical hunger. And it's deeply ingrained behavior that most of us have developed over time and often unconsciously. So the emotions that trigger us to eat can be very wide ranging. Okay. This can be stress. It could be loneliness. It could be boredom, sadness, happiness, even celebration. But what makes emotional eating problematic is that it's often driven by emotional needs rather than the physical hunger. And this leads to a cycle of overeating or just, eating when we're not truly hungry. And so when we feel stressed or anxious, our bodies release cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And while cortisol can be helpful in very small doses, okay, so this is like your fight or flight signal, chronic stress can cause cortisol levels to remain elevated, which triggers the brain to crave those comfort foods, particularly those high in sugar, high in fat, or high in salt. This is your body's way of seeking that instant relief or the reward, as these foods activate the brain's pleasure centers by releasing those feel-good chemicals like dopamine. And so let's get a little more granular here, okay? Because stress causes an increase in cortisol, which influences your appetite regulation system. So elevated cortisol can actually make you crave high calorie foods because your brain is looking for something quick and rewarding. So stressful situations or unresolved emotional issues can often drive us to seek comfort in food, which provides that temporary relief. It's a coping mechanism, okay? And just know that it's a way we're coping and it's not a failure of your willpower, okay? I want you to think about the last time that you ate something that wasn't because you were hungry, but because it was an emotional trigger. What emotion were you feeling at that moment? Was it stress? Was it boredom, sadness, or maybe even happiness? Jot it down. Take a second to really consider how often this happens in your daily life. And I bet it's probably a little bit more than you think. So how do we manage emotional eating? Well, it isn't about trying to avoid emotions because that's just impossible, right? We just can't do that. It's about recognizing when food is being used as a way to cope. Okay, so the first step again is that awareness piece. When you feel the urge to eat, ask yourself, am I truly hungry or am I trying to manage an emotion right now? So here are a few strategies to help you break that cycle. So first, pause and reflect. Okay. When you feel the urge to eat emotionally, pause, assess the situation. Is there an emotion that you're trying to avoid? Give yourself a moment to actually sit in that feeling. Number two, non-food stress relievers. So finding ways to deal with the emotions that don't involve food. This might be journaling. It might be deep breathing. It might be legs up the wall. It might be taking a walk or even just reaching out to a friend for, emotional support. Talk through it. Number three, mindful eating. So when you do eat, be present. Focus on your food. Actually savor each bite. Slow down, okay? This really helps you to become more connected with your hunger cues, and it reduces emotional eating by being present in the experience of eating. Okay? The next part I want to jump into is your relationship with food and how to heal it. So let's first talk about the importance of your relationship with food, okay? Now, this relationship is shaped by many factors. our upbringing, cultural influences, societal messages, and our own personal experiences too. So if you were raised in a house where food was used as a reward or even punishment, those early lessons can become really ingrained in influencing how we view food as adults. So the key to healing that is understanding that food isn't inherently good or bad. And the struggle arises when we attach emotions like guilt and shame and reward to our food choices, okay? So we've been conditioned to view food through a very narrow lens, right? And again, that food is either good or it's either bad. And that mindset can be incredibly damaging because it sets us up for failure every single time. If we deem something as bad, we're inevitably going to crave it more. And the moment we forbid ourselves from something, the increase of it, like it allures us more, right? It definitely, like it draws us in even more. And it creates this cycle of restriction and indulgence with feelings of guilt or shame attached to the indulgence. And so research shows that restriction often leads to an increase in cravings for the very foods we're trying to enjoy. Okay, a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that restriction increases cravings and preoccupation with these foods that we consider off limits. So in the end, it doesn't make us healthier or slimmer. It makes us obsessed with food. And that's the diet culture trap, right? It's time that we start to break free from that a little bit. So we want to shift from that good versus bad to a more balanced thinking. So healing your relationship with food starts with removing those labels of the good and the bad and creating a balanced mindset. So instead of focusing on being good or bad with food, focus on nourishing your body. You know, how does food make you physically feel or mentally feel? Does it provide you energy, comfort, or joy? Those are the important questions, not whether the food is allowed or forbidden or off limits or, you know, a green food or a red food, right? Like, is it nourishing you? How does it actually make you feel physically and mentally? So I want to give you some practical steps for healing your relationship with food. So number one is to, again, we mentioned this before, but practicing that intuitive eating, okay? Honor your body's hunger and fullness cues, okay? When you're hungry, eat, okay? And stop when you're full, okay? You don't have to finish the plate if there's still food on that. This is a foundation of healing your relationship with food, like trusting your body to guide you when you're hungry and when you're full. And by eating like slowly, you can tune into that a little bit easier. Number two is to forgive yourself. Let go of the guilt. When you indulge in a treat, guilt only adds stress, which feeds the emotional eating cycle. So instead, really enjoy the food, okay? And move forward without judging yourself, without beating yourself up. Number three is to build positive associations with food. So shift from using food as a reward or a comfort to using it as a way to nourish and fuel your body. So celebrate food as a gift that supports your health. So I want you to take a moment and think about a food that you often label as bad or off limits. Like, how does it make you feel when you eat it? Do you feel guilt or shame afterwards? I want you to write down your thoughts and I want you to think about how you can reframe your mindset around that food to create more balance. Next, I want to talk about breaking free from the diet culture. So what is diet culture? Well, diet culture is the pervasive system that equates thinness with your worth, right? It encourages us to focus on weight loss at all costs, promoting restrictive diets and constant calorie counting. In diet culture, food is seen as a tool to shrink your body, not to nourish it, right? And this culture perpetuates the unrealistic body standards that teach us that our value is tied to how much we weigh, what we eat, and how our bodies look, okay? And this can have some really harmful effects. And one of the most harmful aspects of the diet culture is that it fosters shame and guilt. It makes us feel like we're failing, even if we don't like look a certain way or if we indulge in a forbidden food. It also leaves us to restrictive eating, which causes your metabolism to slow down. Eventually it begins to backfire and leads to that weight regain, right? We lost it, then it comes back. But perhaps the most damaging is how it steals your joy around food. Okay, so instead of enjoying your meals, we become obsessed with them. And there's a reason why diet culture doesn't work, right? It's because it's built on the assumption that we must shrink ourselves to be worthy. But this is a lie, right? Dieting doesn't work long term. Studies show that 95% of people who lose weight on a diet will regain it again within 1 to 5 years. In fact, dieting can actually slow down your metabolism, making it harder to lose weight over time. And we're never meant to constantly restrict our bodies or obsess over food. And this is a part of the program that is missing that I make sure that we do in my one-on-one program, is that there are phases in the fat loss cycle. We are not always in the diet phase, right? The fat loss phase. We've got to go through the building back up your metabolism and a maintenance phase. There's 3 different cycles that we constantly go in and out of. So staying in, when I say dieting doesn't work long term, it's that you don't want to be in that fat loss phase forever, right? We want to get in, we want to get out, we want to get the results that we want, and then we want to be able to maintain them without that going back on over and over again. So the first step to breaking free from diet culture is rejecting the idea that your worth is tied to your body size or your food choices. So instead of focusing on the number on the scale, I want you to focus on how you feel. How are your energy levels? How's your strength? How's your overall health? How are your pants fitting? That even can be a big difference, right? You might not see that scale moving, but your pants might be falling off your ass, right? So, and again, it's about embracing a mindset that prioritizes health, self-care, and well-being, and not perfection. So here's some tips on how to reject diet culture. So number 1, focus on health, not weight. Shifting your focus from trying to lose weight to building health. So prioritizing nutrient-dense foods to make you feel energized, not foods that fit into a specific calorie count or diet. Number 2, practice body positivity. So start loving your body for what it is, not what it should look like. And celebrate the things that your body can do, whether it's carrying you through the day or helping you, build strength with every workout or carrying you up a mountain that you just hiked. Number 3 is let go of the all or nothing thinking. I know this one can be really hard for us ladies, but stop treating food as if it's a reward or a punishment. Instead, practice that balance and moderation, okay? You don't need to eat perfectly every day, and that's okay. The key is consistency, not perfection. You will hear me say that so many times until the cows come home. Consistency over perfection. So let's do a quick exercise. I want you to think about the messages that you've received from the media, from your family or society about dieting and body image. And I want you to think way back, from when we were little girls too. So how have these messages affected your relationship with food and your body? I want you to write down your thoughts. This is a really powerful exercise because we need to become aware of these influences so that we can learn to tell them to fuck off, basically, right? We can learn to reject them, address them for what they are, where they came from, why we're thinking that way. So all of these journal prompts are really going to get those wheels turning of why these are triggers in the first place and how we can stop them in their tracks, right? So I know we covered a lot today. We covered why cravings, emotional eating, and diet culture don't have to control you. So by understanding the real reasons behind your food struggles and starting to heal your mindset, you can finally create a healthier, more sustainable relationship with your food. So if you found this training helpful, please like this video, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay up to date on more tools to help you break free from that cycle. And if you're ready to get more personalized support, I am offering a free call to see if you're a good fit for my coaching program. No pressure, just a conversation to talk about your struggles, your goals, and how I might be able to help. And even if you don't work with me, my goal is to help you to take the next step in your journey. And we're going to set you up with some next steps so that you can move that needle forward. Because you really do deserve to feel in control of your relationship with food. And I'm here to support you however I can. Make it a great day, guys.